Hi class, we are now on chapter 2 and this is medical terminology and anatomy review. In the front of your CPT manuals, you already have the basic medical terminology, all of these things that you see here. Now what I would do if I were you is I would review these basic medical terms that are found in this book and compare it with the ones that are found in that CPT book. Now anything that you don't have here that you don't have there and that is listed here, if I were you, I might want to list it in the book if I can't remember it, because medical terminology and anatomy are very important, and you all have found this to be true as we have gone through your class. So please make sure you review these medical terms and list them in your book accordingly. Now they are basically in the front of the CPT manual, so just make sure you go through and you review all of these and make sure there aren't any things that you're not familiar with. Now for your anatomic positions, this is also in the front of your CPT manual. Make sure if you do not have these definitions listed, I would definitely write them in the front of the CPT manual so you will know if you don't remember what distal is and superior or inferior. Make sure you go through and you list down those definitions, because more than likely you're going to see it and you want to be able to understand what it is that they're talking about. So make sure you got the anterior, the posterior, the medial, the lateral, the proximal. All right. The structures of the human body, it goes down from 1 to 4. Of course, first you start off with the cellular, then you go to the next tissue, then the organs, and then body systems. So make sure you all know the different structures of the human body as well. So I'm talking about this right here, you all. Make sure you know this as well. All right, now the cavities. Make sure you all that you know what is found in each cavity of the human body. So here you start right here with your cavities, starting with the cranial, the spinal, and the thoracic, and it tells you all of the organs that are found there. On down to the abdominal and the pelvic cavities. So make sure you know what's found in each one of your body cavities as well. The membranes of the body, the internal spaces of the organs and the tubes and the openings to the inside and outside are also lined body cavities, and there are 5 types of membranes that you need to be familiar with as well. And you have the mucous membrane, the serous membranes, the synovial membranes, the meninges, and the subcutaneous membranes. These are the 5 membranes that you need to be familiar with. The integumentary system, you all. The integumentary system, or the skin. This is the largest body system or organ system in the body. So make sure you know what the skin does for us. And you see right here. All right. And then also make sure you know the layers of the skin. You have the epidermis and the dermis. The epi meaning the above layer of skin, and the dermis lies right below the epidermis, and you need to know what's found in each one of those layers of skin. Now you know sometimes people say that there are 3 layers of skin. They say the epidermis, the dermis, and the subcutaneous tissue. But as you all know, the subcutaneous tissue is that fatty layer right beneath the dermis of the skin, okay? And they contain adipose cells, okay? So make sure you know that the epi means above, so that means the above layer of skin. Then the dermis lies right below the epidermis, and then of course the subcutaneous tissue lies right below the dermis. Okay. Now make sure these are some hot topics when it comes to the dermis of the skin. Make sure you read over this, you all. All right. Hair and nail. Now you all, I've seen several tests. They do compose questions when it comes to the hair and nails. So make sure, and I'm going to highlight all of this. Make sure you know what is found in the hair, what part of the body is the hair, how is it composed. The nails, what's all considered to be a part of the nails. Okay. Make sure you know this stuff, because I know I've seen questions that pertain to the hair and the nails. So if you write in your book this information about the hair and nails, simplify it to your learning ability, and make sure that you have good knowledge on what the hair and nails are, what they're composed of, and what they do for us. The musculoskeletal system is next. Now, the musculoskeletal system is a system of muscles, joints, tendons, ligaments, provides movement, form, strength, and protection. Now, you have bones in the musculoskeletal system, and here are some things that the bones do right here. Make sure you go and verify that again. You have the bones according to the long bones, and you know the longest bone in the body is your femur bone, and it is the strongest one too, because that's where your weight comes down at. You have your short or cubital bones, your sesamoid bones, your flat bones, your irregular bones. On down to when it comes to us as coders, we code a lot of fractures. Now, you all, this is going to be very, very important. Make sure you know the difference in your fractures. Your closed fracture, and remember, a closed fracture is one that is not open to the outside of the body. And the thing is, in coding, if the doctor does not state whether the fracture is open or closed, our default is always to code closed. All right, then you have the compound fracture. This is a fracture that projects through the skin or open. A comminuted fracture is more than two separate bones components, segmental fracture or bony fragments. A transverse fracture breaks the shaft of the bone across the longitudinal axis. And then you have your green stick fracture. Now, this is seen mostly in kids. You know how when you pick a green stick off a tree and it's green and wet, it does not break, it splinters. This is the way that children's bones normally do, because they are not completely yet calcified. So they splinter. Then you have a spiral fracture. Now, a spiral fracture is like a twisting fracture. If you have a big burly man and he grabs a little lady's arm and he twists it, she might get a spiral fracture because it's like a twisting motion, okay? Then you have a Colles flat fracture, and this occurs at the wrist and affects the distal radial bone. A compression fracture occurs in the vertebrae and is subject to extreme stress. Then you have the epiphyseal fracture. This occurs where the matrix is undergoing calcification and the chondrocytes are dying, and it's mostly seen in children, okay? You have your cartilage and your joints as well, you all. Make sure you go back and you read about the cartilage and the joints. Okay. Then you have your human skeleton. Now, the human skeleton is divided into two parts. And, of course, you have your axial skeleton consisting of the bone, the hyoid, the ribs, the sternum, the vertebra, and the sacrum. And then you have your appendicular skeleton consisting of the shoulder girdle, the pelvic girdle, and the extremities. Now, these are your muscles, you all. Now, we have muscles throughout our entire body, but I want you to make sure you remember the three types of muscles. Your skeletal muscles, these are voluntary muscles. That means you have control over these. Smooth muscles are muscles that you do not have control over. These are the muscles that line your organs. And then, of course, you have your cardiac muscle. This is the muscle of the heart. And, of course, this is an involuntary muscle. We don't want our heart to be up under our subjection. We want it to beat and do what it's supposed to do on its own. Now, this diagram is in the front of your CPT book as well. This is the heart and blood vessels, and they work together to move blood throughout the body. So make sure you know what this diagram is, because they may ask you a question of what artery or what supplies your knee, okay? And you would look here on this, and you would say, oh, okay, that's the popliteal artery, okay? So make sure you know where to find this. Then you have your venous circulation. Now, with your venous circulation, I want you to make sure that you know the difference between your arteries, your veins, and your capillaries, okay? This is the three types of blood vessels that you have. You have arteries, veins, and capillaries. Make sure you know the difference in those. The way the heart flows, the blood flows in the heart. Y'all, make sure you know how the blood the heart pumps blood through the body. This is going to be a really important one. So the heart, all right, right here it starts with number 1. And then here you got how the oxygenated blood goes in and out, okay? Whoa. Right here. That's how the heart pumps blood through the body. That's important, y'all. Know how the flow of the blood through the heart. Make sure you also know how the heart is composed of 3 different layers. The epicardium, or the outer layer. Epi always means outer or above. Then you have the myocardium. The myocardium, this is the heart muscle. This is the one that allows the electrical impulses of the heart to beat. Now, know that your heart's natural pacemaker is called the SA node, the sinoatrial node. This is the heart's natural pacemaker. Then you have the inner lining of the heart, and that is called the endocardium. Okay, the inner lining of the heart is called the endocardium. All right, the heart is enclosed in a double-lined sac called the pericardium, which prevents the heart from rubbing against other organs or body structures as it beats. You don't want the heart rubbing up against anything as it beats. You want it to be free and clear. Okay? All right, y'all, that's it for the first half of chapter 2. We'll pick up with the second half in just a moment.